I think action called us all to action. We saw the situation for what it was, and we mentioned before the interview started. You know, we took an oath when we joined, and it didn't stop when we got out of service. And I think everybody looks at that place and those people, and you know, I couldn't turn away. I served next to these folks. Maybe not these specific folks, but some of them. There's no way. There's no way we could turn our back on it.
So there are definitely reports of people who want to stay and fight, right, and basically not be under Taliban rule up in the northern province of Panjshir. Are you aware of people heading in that direction as opposed to the airport? And, you know, how is that working?
Yeah, those guys are incredibly ferocious, and it's. I mean, I have mixed feelings as a soldier. I look at the fight and I want to go that way, but I've seen more and more head that way as evacuation becomes less likely. There are more people willing to go get in the fight, and I don't know how we support them other than to give them our best. I mean, there's a lot of people, notable people, Amrullah Saleh being one of them. He was formerly the vice president. He was the chief of the intelligence service, and he's known as the Lion of Panjshir. So he's definitely got a warrior's pedigree. There are a lot of people who would rather fight and die there than submit and go back to the way things were under the Taliban, and it shows. And again, I keep mentioning this in a lot of different ways, whether it's the bravery of the people trying to get through a gate, or whether it's the bravery of the people, you know, going to the Panjshir to join the fight. It's the last real pocket of resistance, and it's worth supporting them any way we can.
We're also hearing about a number of land borders that are open and sort of receiving people at the moment. Is this a route that's, you know, being taken increasingly compared to, say, the airport? I mean, as things are kind of winding down.
Yeah, definitely. We're hearing a lot of reports. It's hard to confirm what's going to stay the way it is. I mean, things change so fast. But yeah, we're hearing that there's a northern route open, that there's an eastern route open. There's definitely ways to get into Pakistan and ways to get into Tajikistan. People are going to Dushanbe. I think personally, if I were on the ground right now and the airport was my only out, I would start heading for a border. There's inevitably a refugee crisis is happening in several places because of this. It's not even a question. And so, you know, the pressure on other governments to take some of these people in and take care of them and help process them and resettle them if necessary is going to be really key. So yeah, there's definitely routes open now. It's hard to say how long they'll stay open or how patrolled they are or where the checkpoints are or anything like that. We're trying to get a better picture of that right now.
You know, I'm getting a lot of indications, and certainly this has been the advice from a number of people who have worked in the area, that I've been hearing, is that people should be at this point going to ground. Now, if you can explain exactly what that means and if that's correct.
What's happening is that the airport has basically ceased to be an exit route. We've got reports of them welding the gate shut. As you know, there have been several attacks there, and it's probably only a matter of time before the Taliban begins searching through the crowd to find individuals. Going to ground is sort of operational speak for, you know, finding a safe place to be, whether that's hiding out someplace or whether that's organizing transport to one of those columns of people that you see streaming toward the Pakistan border. So when you hear people talk about going to ground, really what they're talking about is get out of the big crowd. Don't be in a co-located area that's easy to take advantage of if you're an attacker. Get someplace safe and try to reestablish contact with your network for exfiltration. So they're looking to go to some place where they can reestablish some kind of connection with people like us. And facilitate them into those networks where they can maybe make a clean escape.
So we've been getting kind of mixed messages about this deadline. How do you understand this deadline of the 31st of August?
I don't know if they're using the same calendars we're using. There's a withdrawal deadline of the 31st, but we're seeing things leaving. Effectively, we're gone now. We're We're not doing a whole lot to get the remaining people out that I can see. And we're definitely not doing a lot to get them onto the airfield. In effect, people are kind of on their own at this point. And I'm certainly not trying to cast a broad dispersion against anybody who's still working. I'm not trying to say there's nothing happening. But in terms of an organized withdrawal, in terms of an organized facilitation of refugees and evacuees out of the place, that's not happening. And I think that's one of the reasons you see so many of the volunteers like me and like our network doing what we're doing, is because the official capacity to get it done has all but stopped.
The administration, the U.S. administration, has basically said that evacuation and so forth will continue past the deadline.
Yes, and it's entirely possible that it will. I hope it does. It needs to. I hope that it's an organized effort, and I hope that they leave absolutely nobody behind. I'm a little pessimistic on that front, given what we've seen so far. I mean, as I mentioned before, we've had U.S. citizens holding their passports up, saying I'm an American, and literally be chased away from a gate. So I can't help a little bit of skepticism. I think that, you know, it is an absolute necessity that we do what the president is saying that we should do. I think anything short of doing whatever's necessary to get everybody out is a collective failure on the part of the United States, and I don't want to see that happen.
Does this, what appears to be a suicide bombing that's claimed at least 12 American service members' lives, does this change the equation in any way from what you've been hearing? It maybe advances the timeline on what we expected to see. I don't know that we expected to see it quite this soon, but I think anybody that's operated around there sort of expected this would happen at some point. My understanding is that there were actually 3. Not just one. We were getting reports early this morning from a lot of people. You know, not many of us are sleeping very well, and when we wake up in the morning, there are usually hundreds of messages from people trying to get out. Usually, they're very desperate, pleading messages, "Save us," those kinds of things. I think today was the first day that I woke up to, you know, pictures of the dead. I think it was the first day that I woke up to, you know, video of bombers. And so I think that it's a little bit unlikely to me that this was a surprise to anybody. I think the timing of it, the unfortunate nature of the fact that everyone knows that everyone crowding the airport right now is probably a visa holder, is probably an important person, is probably a high-risk person. I think there's something opportunistic in that I would want to look into a great deal more. But no, it's not a surprise tactic. It's just sort of surprise timing.